Jane Buckman. I'm the director of Imagine Museum. For those new to the museum, just a few facts. We were established in 2018 and we showcase contemporary studio glass art from around the world. From America, we have over 600 museum quality works that represent the studio glass movement from the 1960s and forward. And our international collection now has over 1,200 glass sculptures that includes the masters from Italy, Sweden, the Czech Republic, Germany, Netherlands, and Japan, just to name a few. Over 400 pieces are on display at any time in our 34,000 square foot building in St. Petersburg, Florida. We welcome you to Imagine Museum, and for more information, you can go to imaginemuseum.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And I also understand we are on Facebook Live, also Latch. So the museum's theme this year is Imagine the World. And I'm delighted to welcome Latchezar Boyadjiev, now living in America, who originally came to us from Bulgaria by way of the Czech Republic. But let's take a quick look and have Latch speak a little bit about the piece that's right behind me. Go ahead and run the tape.
My name is Latchezar Boyadjiev, and this is the Imagine Museum. Well, the idea of the Guardian was more on a little more spiritual level, I would say, because it's so monumental and big. You see the presence, and it's but very positive presence, not in a negative sense, but a very positive. So it's almost like angelic being there, guarding.
So we love that piece, Latch, and we have it in a great place. So it's, and also I just get to see it every day, and to me that's, I do get that particular uplift from the piece. So it's great to see you this afternoon, and it's the morning for you. And would you describe for the people joining us today, Latch, a little bit about your history, your mentors, and how you came to America?
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the museum and Jane and everyone inviting me. And yes, I would love to share a few points in my life. I was born in Bulgaria during the communist times, and I grew up there, and it was not easy in a lot of ways. You had a basic kind of life, but you were so limited in so many ways, and pretty much, unfortunately, brainwashed from a young child, going to kindergarten, to school. And I never was able to really live there freely. My spirit was free, and I wanted to be free. And at the first point when I wanted to change was going to Czech. First, I was accepted in Bulgaria in the Academy of Art in ceramics department, and then there was a joining different countries. They were actually advertising communist countries for student sharing programs that they had, and one was in Czech Republic. It was actually not advertised correctly. It was labeled as packaging glass. And nobody wanted to go there because, you know, everybody thought it would be packaging glass, you know, you'll be doing jars and all kinds of glass containers or something like that. So me and another guy, actually, we wanted to go there, and they chose me because I had a better grades in the first semester of the first year of the academy. And then I started learning Czech language, which is really difficult, even for Bulgarians. And after 6 months of studying, I went to Czech Republic, and I had no idea. I landed in the studio of Professor Stanislav Libensky, who was the best known author and respected professor, has been there for 25 years in the Academy of Art in Prague. And even
Is that
yeah,
so even though Lubinsky was there teaching, they were still billing it as packaging glass, or no?
no, that was just misinterpretation. They just did not do it correctly. So that was their mistake. You know, it was totally the Glass Academy with Libensky. So, yeah, and I started there. It was very interesting experience. Professor Libensky was an amazing teacher, and he wanted to make us not glass artists, but he wanted to make each one of us to be an artist. And it was a choice to choose the glass as a material, to be a sculptor or painter, or there's so many different ways that you could use glass. And I really fell in love with the material, and it was like a big honor, because it was so hard to get into that place. Actually, it was about 150 people applying for 1 or 2 or 3 at the most a year. So we were like, all of us, we were in for 6 years is the program there. The last year you do diploma work, but all the rest of the 5 years, we're all together studying and drawing. Every day there was a life model, usually every day from 8 to 12 we drew. So first we drew with the small, just the head, and then the torso, then the drawing with large scale, life scale actually, drawings of the figure. So we did that for 5 years, and
Right.
it's amazing. It was an amazing program. So I loved it. I loved it. But then after the 6th year, I did the diploma work. The Bulgarians took my passport. I said, now you have to go to work to a factory, really like far away, something in a remote area, and do a designer to design glass, different glasses and goblets and things like that. And I said, that's not my plan. So even though it was hard, it was very difficult to be able to escape. And I got married in Czech Republic. During that time, my wife was from Prague, and we had an apartment in Prague. She worked in the radio station in Prague. And I wanted to go to be with my wife, but they did not let me go there. Say, no, you have to work. Your wife may come and join you in Bulgaria, and you can live in a factory somewhere. And that was it. So I said, no, it has to be another way. So finally, we were able to get an extension. It was very difficult on my passport for 1 year. And within that year, I had to escape. So I knew that there is no coming back to Bulgaria, because they gave me the 1 year extension, but then say, but when you come back, you have to work not 3 years, but 5 years now. So that was totally not my plan. And we started planning out how to escape. It's a long story, it's a long conversation, but we were able to get into a bus going for a summer vacation in Yugoslavia, which was former communist country, but it was a little more open to the West. And the bus was traveling. We were the only young couple there. They were all retired people. They did not let any young people escape. So we were the only young people. And there was actually one more girl that was young on the bus. Everybody else was retired people. And they checked us totally on the border. And they knew that if they find something little, they will just put us back to Prague, to Czech Republic. So we knew that, and we didn't bring anything with us that could say, okay, you're going for 2 weeks on vacation. Why do you have a coat, or why do you have the family photos, or why do you have so much money with you? Not that we had any, no, we didn't have much money then. But anyway, so we were able to go there, and it's another funny long story, but I'm gonna shorten it. We went to Italy we got off the bus in Padova and stayed there for 3 days there, but we knew that we had to go to Italy, to Rome, and that's where we had to go. And go to a police station and ask for a political asylum. That's what we did. And there was they say we have to put you in a refugee camp for 3 months. No, they didn't say for 3 months. We stayed 3 months, but there were people that staying there for 2 years, for a year and a half. And luckily, the Bulgarians, because Bulgarians did not let people go out of the country at all, they needed 8 families to hire a translator for the American consulate to translate. So we came as an 8 family. So that's why we got off so easily and so fast compared to the rest. So we went to the American consulate in Rome, got the interview, got approved within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and off we were to America. They granted us the political asylum and came to New York, where I had a cousin there, and stayed with them, his wife, and started our life in America. That was there for 30 days. I liked New York, but I didn't see myself living there. So I had another friend in California, in Northern California, and he said, why don't you come? You know, you don't have anything, and you're with 2 suitcases, and come here and start your life here. It's a lot nicer. The weather is nice. You know, it's more relaxed. And I say, sure. So we took a plane and arrived in Northern California, San Francisco Bay Area, and settled in here with $65 in a pocket. That's how we came, and we actually owe money for the ticket from Italy, so we had to repay that back. So that's my short story coming to America.
Was it that you arrived in San Francisco? What year?
Sorry?
What year did you arrive in San Francisco?
1986. That's exactly 35 years ago.
Very good. Congratulations on all of that. Wow. That is quite a story. We have a short video that we got from the Liberty Museum. So let's run that video. Oops. Waiting for the video.
I start drawing until something comes out of it.
In the 1980s, Latchezar Boyadjiev grew up in the stark world of communism. As an artist, he dreamed of creating his art without restrictions.
During the communist times, it was a dictatorship, and you did not have any freedom. I knew that the only way that I could do my art is in a free country.
Latchezar made a choice. He escaped from Bulgaria, but then languished for months in a refugee camp.
You have to leave everything behind, all your relatives and friends. Sometimes you have to go through a drastic change and risk it all for the future.
Today, he expresses his gratitude for liberty in his art.
I like to bring beauty to people's life. Glass is a wonderful material because it's very beautiful, very pure, very clean, but it's also very fragile. The process is extremely long, but it's magical. Liberty is very fragile also. You have to work for it because you can lose it very easily.
I love your story, Latch, and every time that I hear you describe it, there's always one little piece. So let's pick up then. You went to the West Coast. You arrived in the Bay Area in '87. And so then what? You had all of this training, this fine art training, and working with the greats in the Czech Republic, and you only had $65 and owed your ticket. So what'd you do then? What next?
Well, what's next? We're coming. That was finally we were here, but then you start, and how do you start with? First, I didn't know English very well either. I was kind of really couldn't understand much what's happening, and when people talk to me fast, I couldn't understand. So it was a long time, but we came here and came to my friend's house, and they said, okay, you have to pay us rent for that room, $300 a month. So you have to go to Social Security and ask for assistance, living. And me and my wife then said, no, we didn't come to America to ask for, help from anybody. We came to make our life. And say, no, we're going to find the jobs and we'll start. So we didn't go to the Social Security Administration to ask for money. And we started looking around for jobs. So my wife started working in a fast food restaurant, and immediately within a week, she found a job. And within 3 weeks, I was able to find a job in the glass field, in a glass studio. Studio of Steve Maslak, who was a glass artist and did a production work and some artwork as well. And he hired me. That was the first and the last job that I ever had in America. I worked there for 3 years, and within that time, he allowed me to use the equipment after hours, for which I'm very thankful. And said, I know you're a good artist, so just use the equipment and do your artwork, whatever. So I started doing that, and little by little started with optical glass pieces, grinding, polishing, very clear glass, and no colors first, and started doing that. And in the 1988 was the year when for first time, I went to Glass Art Society conference in Kent, Ohio. So that was the first year and I also did my sculptures then, the first sculptures, and went to the conference and had sculptures actually with me, one sculpture with me. And I took it there and I took some photos of it and started giving out photos with my business card stapled to them. So and the next morning, one lady came and said, all right, we're glass collectors. We like this piece. Do you have it? I said, yes, I sure do. Where is it? And I said, it's in the trunk of my car right now. Okay, well, can we see it? I say, sure you can. And we went to the parking lot, opened the trunk and put the towel on the top of the car and put the sculpture there. And I say, yeah, we like it. And I say, all right, we want to buy it. How much is it? And I never sold a piece before. So it was like, what do I say? How much shall I want? So it was, I said, I have to get the expenses for the conference, which was like $750. And I have to have some for me. So I say $950. And they said, okay, write me a check right on the spot. And there, that's the first piece I sold ever. So I was really, really happy. And then that's, the conference that I started doing, meeting a lot of people in Glass Gallery. That's where I met Habitat Gallery for the first time. First, and I don't know, Corey was very little at that time. I don't think he was coming at that time there. Anyway, so that's how I started, and started my studio within 6 months, actually. I work half of the time, 10 hours a day, 3 days a week for him, and the same 10 hours a day for 3 days for me. And I had 1 day off. And I started working really hard in my studio and making a lot of sculptures. And I was very excited and started doing exhibitions, and it all took off from there.
Well, the work is beautiful. And I have two questions before we start going on to the work. But so when you were when you're at the GAS conference and you said that you had studied with Lubinsky, was there familiarity then with the Czech glass at the time?
Well, yes, the people who knew glass, they were very familiar with Lubinsky. He was coming to Pilchak Glass School, teaching a little, and he did the entrance for the Corning Museum of Glass. So he was very well respected and very well known glass person.
Well, that was a good calling card then for you to come into the scene and actually have had 6 years basically studying with him.
Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. And then, so you were able, so the other question is, that collector who bought that piece, are they still around in collecting?
No, unfortunately, they passed away. Milton Baxt, his name. They were in Florida, in Hollywood, Florida. But they've seen me later on, and when I was going to exhibitions, and they met, and they really loved seeing me around there, and always saying the story about how they got the piece from me.
The back, the on your car with the blanket on the trunk.
Yeah.
I'm sure they loved it. I'm sure that they loved it. So when even just in the background of your studio there, so you're obviously, your work is very figurative. And so talk a little bit about that choice, and why do you work figuratively? What does that do for you? What is that special? What is that trying to communicate for you?
Well, it's as I told you, during the time of my studies there, I was drawing figure every day for 5 years. So figure became part of my feeling and expressing myself and drawing. So even though I draw a lot of abstract pieces, there you can find figurative figure somewhere, or mentioning of it, or really more naturalistic look of the female torso. And it's just like a big part of who I am and who we are as a people.
Yes, I did not know that you had that figure drawing every day, and knowing about that discipline. And it's all about looking, right? It's all about seeing all of the various form and curves that come off the figure by drawing it. I mean, I think that's why I really appreciate the work, because, unless you've drawn the figures as many times as you did, and when I went through arts college, you had to draw the figure too, and you just pick up things about the form, the body form, that and unless you look at it for 6 years, it's not everyone sees that, but you bring it to our attention so much that it's unmistakable that it comes off of the figure and the form.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It is what I want to do is actually bring always the positive and the beauty in this world. because we have so many negative things surrounding us all the time. And I don't want to live with that. I want to create something and share with people something that is beautiful, uplifting, so they would love to have it around them at the house or the museum, always to be on the bright side.
Well, and that's what, I think that's why we have you in our collection, because as you know, our founder, Trish Duggan, that she loves your work also. And I think that the priority for what she purchases for the museum, beauty is a key element. And as I even see more of the work through the slides and what I've seen on your website, you just capture that energy of the figure and that beauty. You just do it wonderful. I wish we have every piece that we have of yours up. We could always use more. I'll talk to, we'll see how we can do that. But really, such, talk about scale though, because I heard you talking about doing some of the larger pieces. You have some of the 3-4 foot tall type of pieces, but then the piece behind is almost like 8 foot.
Yeah.
Tall.
Yes.
So,
before I say that, I also wanted to mention that part of my work is most of it actually. It's connected with music as well. As little, I was a musician. I wanted to become a musician, but again, with the reality of the communist place, I couldn't go to the music school. I used to play the piano and oboe, classical music, and I didn't get accepted into that music school. So I started drawing and became an artist. But music has always been a big part of my life, huge part. I listen to music from the morning until I go to bed. There is no time. I feel a void if I don't listen to music. And so is my wife, is a classical musician, Bertina, and she plays the harp. And I'm surrounded by music. And both of the children, the younger children, are musicians as well. And we have one more child in the house, 17 years old, who is a flute player, classical flute player with the San Francisco Symphony Youth Orchestra and all the orchestras. So it's constantly music around the house. Anyway, it's part of my work. That's what I wanted to say. And you can actually see the music. Sometimes you can feel the motion, the fluidity of the music in my pieces. And now I can get back to your question about the big piece. And that was 1992 for the first time.
I think your work is also very lyrical. That would be outside of the figurative. I think there is a lyricism to it. So I do think that the harmony and the lyricism of the music you listen to does come through. So I would, it's obvious that music is a big part of your life and your families. Now go ahead and talk about it.
About the piece behind you, the Guardian, which is 76 inches or something like that. It's pretty tall and very heavy, difficult to work on. The first time I did that was I was in a meeting. Actually, I had a gallery exhibition in Toronto in Sandra Ainsley Gallery in 1992, I believe. I met her at the Kent, Ohio conference that I went. So we had that thing, and she asked for a slide lecture. There was no digit, everything was slides then. So I did a slide lecture before the opening, and I had this piece, a photo of me working on the big piece, but it was just the plaster, the original, not in glass. I couldn't do it myself because I didn't have the kilns and the facility to be able to handle such a big thing. And I just did it in plaster, and I said, okay, eventually, somehow it will happen. And what happened was this person told me, do you want to, came after the lecture and told me, do you want to do that in glass? And I says, yes, sure, I do. And okay, we'll commission you to do that piece in glass. So there it was. They gave me the money, and I was able to do the piece in Czech Republic, to cast it in glass. And I did 2 of those castings in a different color. And the second one is what I had in my studio for a while, a long time actually, for about 10 years maybe, before it came to the museum. So it was waiting for the right place. It always like that with artwork. You never know. You do your best, you do your artwork and put it out there, or have it in a studio, and at the right time, it will come. And I know it, and I learned to live with that, because it's not easy to be an artist and live, and especially here in San Francisco Bay Area, it's so expensive, the life, and I have 4 children, and both of us are artists. My wife is a musician, she's a freelance musician and teaching music as well. So we've been doing that for 32 years already. So it's pretty amazing that I think America is the only place that you could do that, live and work as an artist and be able to afford.
Yes, well, and this year we're imagining the world. Next year, our theme is going to be human rights. And as you and I have discussed, you'll be having a gallery of your work here also, just because of your story, which we think is just really an amazing story and one of perseverance. As we move forward and talk a little bit about perseverance, and talking about scale, we're going to show another video, a little bit about production. Because outside of the drawings, like you can see in the back of you, and understanding where you get those lyrical lines, figurative lines with your work, there's also incredible production that goes to it. So Natalia, would you run that video? Latch, you can narrate on top of this also.
Yeah, just to let you know that this is the fast forward version.
Yes.
Coming from a drawing with a pencil, actually with a charcoal on a craft paper, doing a lot of drawings. Most of the time you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings until you come to the right place. And when I like the drawing, then I start sculpting with clay. And then as you see, the clay is the original. Then I make a plaster negative mold and cast the original in plaster as well. We put something to support, and then this is my son on the right side. And I make the original in plaster, really work on it hard to be able to have the perfect lines, to be clean and beautiful the way I want it to be in glass. And then I do the glass mold, which is a different material, that it's very time consuming and hard to do that as well. And once this mold is done, we put it in a kiln first to dry the mold and bake it before we put the glass in there. And once the glass is put in there and heated up to really high temperature and melts, then it comes out. And then there is a lot of grinding and polishing. The cold working is the hardest thing actually on that work. It does take a lot of time and precision, and one little mistake can ruin the day easily. That's in the backyard. And then I do my own photography as well. So that's before photographing it. And there we are. That's all, I gave you that. That was 2 minutes, 2 months and 2 minutes actually of work.
So talk a little bit, I mean, the process is laborious. There's no doubt about it. From the drawing that I can see behind you to the actual piece. So what is it that compels you to keep moving forward with that kind of process? And I would imagine the larger the piece gets, the more difficult it also becomes because of technical issues. So
Yes.
what is it that you're pulling from that just keeps you moving forward?
Well, this is the creative part of me. I want to create something beautiful and struggle to the process of bringing it to the end. And I just have the idea, visual in my mind, how I want the piece to look like. And I know exactly, since the moment I have the drawing ready, I know exactly what's going to look like. But the way to get there is so long, and there's so many difficult moments that sometimes it survives, sometimes it doesn't. And it's the dedication that you really want to do what you want to do and make the best of it. Even though it's hard work, sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it breaks at the last moment. Let's say after a month and a half work on the piece, it breaks and something happened. You're just a drop an instrument or something, or any functional parts of there's so many parts of that could be done.
At SOFA. I saw you 2 years ago when you lost a piece.
Yeah, that was a hard one because that was a big piece that I love. It's called Passion, and it was huge. It was like almost 7.5, what was it, 7 feet tall. It was really way taller than me, and it was like 880 pounds, like 400 kilos or something. And I had 2 pieces of that scale, the big pieces that I wanted to do. And unfortunately, one of them survived. It's in Habitat Galleries right now, and the other one is broken. And we lost the piece. It's half a year of work. It's lost.
Thought you held yourself together remarkably, and many times people, as they go through the museum, they ask about the process, and I tried to describe it. And what I've heard many artists say that probably more glass ends up on the floor than it does on a pedestal. To me, with that kind of investment of time, I thought you held yourself together remarkably well. Just knowing,
Yeah, you have to have the patience for it. That's number one, precision and patience and attention to detail. Otherwise, if you're not patient, you're not going to make it. Well, there is a different way of work with hot glass, which makes the work faster. You don't have to go through the drawings and sculpting and casting and that. The hot glass, it's a lot faster way of doing it. But I'm not looking for the easiest way out. I'm trying to do the best what I can with the material. And for me, the clarity and the beauty of the glass, it's the most important. So I don't want to cut corners. So I want to go the long way, but to make the finished product to be the best that I can.
I think the precision of your work and now fully appreciating what you do to that plaster cast and how you really refine all of your line and your form in the plaster cast before you make the mold for the glass.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how important that element was to the work. Just seeing that 2-minute little snippet there, and
Yeah.
just watching you how you worked with that form. It's you really do a lot with the sculpture at that stage, from the original.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where you're actually seeing it and visualizing it more in glass.
Yeah.
So as we are moving forward, and I'm paying attention to time and having, so we can get some questions and answers. I just have a question. You know, last weekend I saw you because we were doing the Zooms for the Glass Coast weekend, and a lot of 50-year anniversaries. You have your 35th year anniversary. So to you, the community of the artists who work with this material of glass, the collectors, you know, just how does that impact you? I mean, I know different art forms do not have the same kind of community that glass has. And I'm just wondering, because I'm sure we have some people who are glass enthusiasts or collectors, just what does being part of this community mean for you?
Well, it is a very important part of it. And when I came here, I didn't know anybody, of course, but gradually by the years, going to glass art conferences, to different museums, to different galleries, you meet people and colleagues as well, many colleagues. And it's interesting how we all became very tight. It's a small community. Well, it's getting larger by the day, you know, it's grew. I remember when I came here, 86, that was like 20 years after the glass started. Now it's 55 years after the glass studio movement started in America. So it was still new. So there were not that many artists like today they are. But all the glass artists that I met, they were extremely helpful, very friendly, fun to be around, fun to go out with. And always when we go to a SOFA show or some other museum show and the international show in Habitat Gallery, we always have a great time together, and we're looking for the next time that we all get together and have a good time and talk, exchange ideas, talk about technical aspects, talk about life in general, and we really have a fun. And the last year was the worst because we couldn't go to SOFA, we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't see each other. So we're kind of isolated, unfortunately, for a year. That speaks for everyone in America, but hopefully things will get better and we'll get back to our life as normal as we can.
That's what I hope so. Also, it is such a pleasure to be talking with you, Latch, because I have, it is through some kind of grace and good fortune that I have been able to be part of this community as well. So I'm, it's the first time that we've met. I would agree with you on everything. I love the stories and I love the exchange and the laughs and the camaraderie with everyone. It is something we try to extend here at the museum as well, because we all really are chasing that beauty, we're chasing that reflection, the forms, we want to be uplifted, and so that's what I think happens here at this community. So I do have to leave some time for some questions and answers. So does anyone, you're all muted, but if you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
I have a question for Latchezar in the meantime.
Yes.
So you said music was a really big part of your life, and you mentioned classical music. Are there any particular composers that might inform your work or your process, or that you're just really inspired by?
Well, there's quite a few composers that I love. From my part of the world, Eastern European, I love Dvorak and Tchaikovsky, one of my favorites, I would say. And but coming to America, I started loving jazz as well. So jazz and classical music is my thing. And I love Gershwin a lot because it is a classical American and it's like unbelievable. So it's part of it, part of my work it is.
Do we have any other questions?
There is a question from the Facebook from Elizar Milev. So the question is, did you meet your professor in USA when you moved here? So I guess you answered that with that you started working there, but I'm not sure, maybe you're more familiar with the details of that.
That's right, yeah. I met him twice after I came here in America. There was another glass conference, I think was in Seattle, 93, I believe. And that's where he was there. So I met him there. And then another one was in Boston. He was there as well, so was I. We met there also. And then I met him a few times in Prague, in Czech Republic. And the last time I met him was just a year before he passed away. It was 2000 or 2001, I believe, in Prague. He had a big exhibit there. And that's when the last time I met him, and we said goodbye. I didn't know it's for the last time. Unfortunately, that's life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Elizar, for this question.
Right. Do we have any other questions from our audience? Well, I'll tell you, then we can wrap this up a little bit. If you are interested in getting more information and finding out more about Latch's story, Latch, what's your website?
It's myfullname.com, Latchezarboyadjiev.com.
It's a great website. So if you want to know more about Latch, if you want to see his work, you can come to Imagine Museum. We are open 6 days a week. We love to have, we practice social distancing. You have to wear masks, but people do feel very safe when they're here and very uplifted by the sculpture. If you want to join us for more Zooms and opportunities to meet the artists, just go onto our website at imaginemuseum.com or to follow us on our socials at Facebook and Instagram. So are there any last questions before we sign off talking to Latch? If there are.
Jane, one second, Jane, I think, let me check Facebook. No. On Facebook, there's so many people from all over the world sending hello to you. From Hungary, Austria, Canada. But questions, no, I don't see. Netherlands. No, I don't see any questions.
They all just love you, Latch, that's all. And
well, love you too, guys. And I hope to see you soon in person.
Yes, we showed the red piece because of Valentine's Day. So I wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day, happy President's Day today. Latch, it's always my pleasure to have conversations with you. I do look forward to seeing you here in Florida, and when travel becomes easier, I'm coming to your studio.
I hope you're all welcome to visit anytime. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure. So long. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.